Welcome, everyone. I am so glad so many of y'all are here this afternoon. We are just so excited and thrilled to have you all on for this very, very important conversation and topic that is hosted by Parents for School Options. I'm Samoy Mainda, as Chelsea said, and I am a proud PSO board member. This has been absolutely amazing. And I'm thrilled to see so many like advocates and parents and educators and those that really stand for school choice options and options for parents and for kids. I think at this point we all realize that every child deserves a nourished meal. They need to be cared for, and they need to be ready to face the day. So we're here because every child deserves access to both a great education and the nutrition they need to thrive, no matter where they go to school. It doesn't matter. That should never have anything uh, that should never be a problem. A reminder, kids need a reminder that someone cares for them. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Listen, y'all, for 57%, you might not understand that in percentage of full-time online students, that is represented in more than 340,000 children. That is a large number. I think the slides are being showed right now. This slide here shows you the impact on students in three states. We have the three states that are showing right now: Oklahoma, Michigan, and Texas. Just those three states alone, we can't stress the importance of. When you look at the slide, the first slide is the online public school students in each state. So, for example, Oklahoma, there's 17,133 students. Those that are eligible students not served are 11,228 students, which that equivalent to 67%. That is a huge number. The next slide drills down a little bit more on just Michigan. We're going to focus a little bit on Michigan, the three states with the biggest virtual schools. The reason why is, like we said, the Michigan is one of the most populated virtual school state. Um, when we look at this, every meal is an investment in their happiness and success. And so when you look at these numbers, High Point Virtual, so there are three schools: High Point Virtual Academy of Michigan, Michigan Great Lakes Academy, and Michigan Virtual Academy. I'm rooting for Michigan Virtual Academy because that's where we started off with our daughter Hannah. But look at the students that are not served. They're not getting a lunch, y'all, not from their public school. 3,455, which is the equivalent of 80%. Michigan Great Lakes Academy, 3,936 students, which is 78%. And Michigan Virtual Academy, 3,202 students, which is 76%. I don't know about you, but these children, they are dependent on a source of nutrition. They need this nutrition. They need this lunch to continue to be able to calm down, to concentrate. And when they have that lunch, I know for a fact, because I know how it is for me. When I have lunch, I'm like all happy, like, whoo, I got some fuel in my system. I'm ready. I got a smile on my face and I'm ready to tackle the rest of the day. So, with these three schools, all of these students are not getting the nourishment that they need. Every child deserves this gift. They deserve this gift of having a free lunch. As you can see, the need is real. These numbers don't lie. These numbers are so true. And I think it's very important that we realize that skipping lunch can steal focus, joy, and confidence. No child should ever feel they are forgotten when it comes to having a school lunch. That being said, today we're going to dig into why virtual students are excluded, what PSO is doing to change it, and how you can help. To kick us off, let's welcome PSO's Executive Director, Kristen Tyagi.
Thanks, Samoy.
You're
So I'm
welcome.
here. Samoy gave a lot of great information, statistics, and the heart of the issue here. I'm here to give you all the policy background and all the stuff that's going into why virtual school students are excluded. So In 1946, Congress passed the National School Lunch Program and provided essential nutrition to millions of food insecure students across the country. This allowed the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, to provide access to families to in a regular school setting to have access to free lunch if they are income qualified. So right now, public virtual school students are treated the exact same way in all other aspects of schooling in the federal eye. They are public school students. They take the public school tests that are required by their state. They receive federal funding for their education and are treated on the same level as their brick and mortar counterparts. This is the only aspect of their education that is different. These families are being uniquely penalized for choosing a legal and state-approved public education option for their children. And as we know, education has completely changed in the nearly 80 years since the National School Lunch Program came into existence. As you can see in this picture, that is a typical classroom from 1946. Not what classrooms look like today, and certainly not what classrooms look like for many of you who are virtual school families. So the the program was designed in a time and has inclusion of language, just a couple of words that say that meals must be provided in a congregate setting, which means in an in-person setting. So that little sentence has excluded over 347,000 online students from being able to participate if their family is income qualified. We're not talking about extending universal benefits to all virtual school families. This is just to the families who would otherwise qualify. And many of these families do have students in the brick and mortar setting, maybe another student and then a student in a virtual. And so some of these families do qualify for their brick and mortar child, but not for their virtual child. We've heard from families who, over the summers after COVID, received EBT cards in the mail from their state, and they would get one for their child who was in the brick and mortar setting, but not for their virtual school child. So this is definitely has ripple effects into other aspects where there's ties to if a family qualifies for the lunch benefits. And what we saw during COVID was something really powerful. It was that providing benefits to online students can happen. As many of you may have been part of a brick and mortar system during COVID and saw that when schools shut down and everybody moved online, school lunch benefits still continued for the families who were receiving them in the brick and mortar setting. They got creative. They did lunch drop-off sites. They did delivery services. They did EBT cards. They did all sorts of different ways to make sure that the students who qualified for these programs continued to receive those benefits. The kids who were left on the sidelines were still our full-time online students, even though they were learning in the same method as the brick and mortar counterparts who were shut down during COVID. So this came to our attention. We knew that for many years this has been an issue, but because of COVID, it ignited something in a lot of families who said, this is not fair. So they came to us, and so we've been trying to raise awareness in Congress and with the USDA about the issue. We've met with the USDA in both administrations on the issue, and both administrations have told us that it needs to come from Congress to make the changes to the National School Lunch Program that would allow states to have the flexibility to provide the benefits to full-time online public school students. We've had many conversations with congressional offices on the issue, and we have bipartisan support because despite what might be going on in DC right now with the shutdown, and it seems like nobody talks and nobody cares, um, they actually do sometimes care. And we've gotten support on both sides of the aisle with lawmakers saying, this isn't right. We should do something about it. Congress included report language in their last appropriations bill directing the USDA to potentially explore solutions for online students. It's progress, but exploration is not a change in policy. So right now, what we're trying to do is get Congress to remove the congregate setting requirement that would allow states to have the flexibility to extend school lunch benefits to all eligible public school students, no matter the way that they're learning, whether it's in a full-time online program or in their brick and mortar neighborhood school. So that's kind of where things are at right now. I'm going to turn it back over to Samoy, who will have a lot more information about some of the stories we received from some of you and how you can get involved.
Yes, thank you so much, Kristen. This is I was reading some of the stories and just the struggle that parents are having. Behind every statistic, there is a real family. These are not robots. These are human families, and parents are choosing online schools because they're doing what's best for their child. That's what it's all about, to keep them healthy, to ensure that they learn safely, and to find the right academic fit. Those are the reasons why parents are choosing online. As an online family, that's one of the main reasons why we chose. These families are asking for more. They're not asking, for anything more than what is it should be entitled to their children. They just want fairness. Basically, what parents are having to do is they're literally having to choose between, oh, my child's health. If my child goes to the brick and mortar school, that is going to really deteriorate their health. We don't want that to happen. But then, okay, if my child stays at home, where am I going to get their lunch? That definitely should not be happening. We There are long term and short term effects. But that being said, I have just a few stories we've received. These are real parents that we have received stories from, and the first one comes from a Florida mother. Her name is Chanel. I'm going to read her direct quote. It says, "Florida mother Chanel faced unexpected job loss and homelessness that turned her world upside down. Virtual public school became a lifeline. Y'all hear that? A lifeline that kept her daughter, Subby, learning and thriving amongst lots of uncertainty. But that quickly changed. By losing access to the National School Lunch Program meant stretching her already thin dollars to the breaking point. Homelessness, job loss, and other life uphills don't stop a child's need to eat. They have to continue to eat. Similarly, sorry, I'm just saying she's here today. So thank you, Chanel, for being on. We really appreciate that so much. Similarly, for Tennessee grandmother Kimberly, when her youngest grandchild was born with a very fragile immune system, constant illnesses was putting her entire family at risk. They turned to virtual school as a way to keep her eldest grandkids on track and her youngest safe. But the family now has to make sacrifices to ensure food is on the table every day. My goodness. And lastly, Kristen from Pennsylvania told us that she felt humbled realizing that feeding her family is not always something she can do on her own. Kristen says she has to look for ways to get free food, making sure to never take more than she needs, but continues to send her child to virtual school because the safety and peace of mind it offers is worth everything. Just hearing those stories is so emotional. I just the short term effects and the long term effects on not having a lunch provided for every single day as these families hear incomes, illnesses, homelessness, and they just want something fair for their family. Short term effects of these kids not getting a proper lunch or low energy and fatigue, difficulty concentrating, mood swings, poor academic performance. But it doesn't stop there, y'all. These effects can prolong into long term, showed growth and development, need nutrients for bone muscle and brain growth. It weakens their immune system, unhealthy eating habits, chronic health problems, and mental health impacts such as anxiety, depression, or low self esteem for a lunch. That is a lot of powerful information. That is a powerful meal to make sure that all of our online students get access to a wonderful meal by parents that choose to have their kids do online schooling. So what's next and how can parents get involved? I know y'all are just itching to find out because we definitely want y'all to get involved. I know we're going to have so many signups after this. Right now, we're working directly with congressional offices on both sides to build support for a fix. So we're working hard to get this fix. The solution is simple. Let's hear the solution. Remove the congregate setting requirement so states can choose to serve all public school students equally. So, students at the building and students that are online, we want them to all get that meal. So, but we have to make it happen. It takes numbers. It takes a lot of us. Congress needs to hear from you. They need to hear from all of y'all. You don't have to be a parent. You're an advocate. You're an educator. You're a supporter. You have a niece or nephew, a granddaughter, grandson, a next door neighbor. These are all children, so they need to hear from you. The more lawmakers understand the importance of this, and the effects on real families in their districts, the faster they can get it done. And that's the only way we're going to be able to get it done is with them hearing from you. So here's a few steps. Join PSO's advocacy list. Start there. We have some great information. We would love for y'all to be on that list. Share your story with legislators or social media. We will be dropping our digital director's email in the chat so you can contact her directly. I think that's coming here in just a second. So share those stories. Get on social media. They want to hear from you because legislators can't make changes unless they hear from us. So that is so important to do that. Visit lunchforeverylearner.com to send a letter to the members of Congress. They want to hear from you. It takes just a minute and your voice to help ensure that every child who qualifies for the National School Lunch Program receives it, regardless of where they go to school. It does not matter. This is not something like, oh, well, this child is here and this child is here. So, like Kristen was saying, one child is at the brick and mortar school, one is online, but my online student is not getting a free lunch. We're not going to do that anymore. And thank you for standing with us to make sure that no child is left hungry. We don't want children left hungry. We want all of them to have a good meal. I know when I'm hungry, I get frustrated and can't do anything right. I'm grumpy and that's the same thing that happens to these sweet, precious kids that are not getting a good meal. So providing them this lunch is so beneficial and it's literally mandatory for their success, short term and long term. That being said, does anyone have any questions?
Thank you guys so much. That was amazing. Round of applause for Kristen and Samoy. Feel free to just continue dropping your questions into the chat here. I have a couple that came in from our email inbox to get us started. The first one is, what does it mean to be a parent advocate? And what does that experience look like in real life?
Kristen, you or me?
You're the parent advocate. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Okay. Chelsea, just so I'm just clear, she wants to know what is it like to be a parent advocate?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so. Yes. What does it mean?
Okay.
And what does that experience look like in real life?
Oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps because I remember when I first became a parent advocate, Hannah was 8 years old in 2017, 16, and I started off with PSO. And when we started, we knew that there was some changes that we needed to happen in Missouri because there was no virtual education. But not only just for my daughter, but I wasn't just speaking at the Capitol or to community leaders or members. I wasn't just speaking to them on my daughter Hannah and Seth and Gabrielle and other kids, but I was speaking on all families because some parents they can't get to the Capitol. They can't get to an event. They can't hop online because they're at work or whatever, all these different things. But when we do come together, when we talk to other parents on the phone or, on Zoom calls and things like that, and we're fighting, we're speaking our voices for the same um, challenges that our children are facing every single day. It is I'm not gonna cry, y'all, I promise, because everybody knows I'm a crybaby. It makes a huge difference. It makes such an experience. It makes it so like fulfilling to know that, for example, with the lunch, I know for a fact that it's going to be passed. I know that we're going to get lunch for all those 3,447 students and more, because we're continuing to get more children online and other different places. But I know we're going to get that lunch. I know those kids are going to finish up the midday and they're going to see what they're getting for lunch, and they're going to enjoy their meal, because we right here, we made it happen. Because I know every single one of y'all that are on here, if you're not already, will be on the PSO list and reaching out to your elected officials. So just having that and just knowing that, it drives you. Like, I'm going on and on and on because I know how important this is and how fulfilling it is. I hope that answered her question.
We have another question.
And just to add on to that question, that answer a little bit, getting involved is really up to your comfort level as well. If
Mm-hmm.
you're somebody who is wants to be like Samoy and get involved and testify before legislatures, do all these meetings, there is a role for you. If you want to stay back and maybe send a letter to
Mm-hmm.
your member of Congress or pick up the phone or do something from the comfort of your home, there's a role for you. We help you. We have a whole host of team members who will help you every step of the way to make sure that you're comfortable telling your story, that the actions that you're taking are in line with things that are in your comfort level, and exercising your skill sets and making sure that we're here to nurture you every step of the way of your advocacy journey. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing I forgot to mention earlier is the statistics around the 347,000, 57%. Um, we anticipate that those are actually woefully underreported. Many states, it requires a family to submit a form indicating that they qualify for these benefits, but guess what? Many families don't submit those forms because they know they're not going to get the free lunch benefits, and they don't maybe need a computer or a hotspot or something provided by their online school for income qualifying families, so they just don't submit the forms. There are some states that are what they call direct certification states, and those are ones that the data comes from directly from Medicaid or other methods that allow the state leadership to know how many families would otherwise qualify. In some of the states that we showed earlier were direct certification states, Michigan, Oklahoma, and I believe Texas is one as well. So that data was a little bit more accurate in terms of like the qualifying families. But we've had conversations with schools and things across the country that'll say, yeah, reporting wise, they say we only have 40%, but we know from talking to families, it's more like 70, 80%. So we really think that this number is underreported, and we're actually working with some researchers right now on a white paper that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks or so that will hopefully shed a little bit more light on the actual impact of the issue. And we'll be sharing that information on our channels and in our emails to make sure that you do sign up for PSO and get involved so you can be aware of what's on that.
Awesome. We have a question here that asks about the income requirements to qualify for the free lunch program, but maybe it might be helpful to take a step back and talk about the overall requirements as they are today and what we're hoping to get changed.
Yes, so I'll take that one. So income requirements are based on the federal poverty guidelines. And so it's kind of a convoluted system in terms of like what the exact number is. I think it might even differ from state to state based on what the poverty level is for the state and what the state views as what qualifies. So if you qualify for other federal type of benefits, like you receive SNAP benefits or you receive Medicaid benefits, believe that that would put you into the box for sure for qualifying. Beyond that, I think it sort of differs based on what that inc poverty level is. What the current requirements say is that meals must be served in a congregate setting. And so that is what is precluding virtual school students from being able to participate. Um, the families would otherwise, if you enrolled in a traditional brick and mortar school, your kid would get lunch if you qualify at income level. But just because of the virtual setting, because of that congregate setting requirement, that is what is preventing a virtual school student from receiving the benefit.
Great. One more question here. How can people stay connected with what PSO is doing on this issue after today's webinar?
Follow us on social. Chelsea does an amazing job of sharing all of the things that we do, the stories, and keeping everybody updated on when we're doing meetings on the Hill, and also staying involved in our emails, subscribing to our email list. To follow us on social, we are at I Trust Parents on every single social media platform, TikTok, Instagram. X, Facebook, you name it, wherever you are. And then also sign up for our list. And if you aren't already receiving our emails, just email us, I think, in one of the email addresses that's in the chat, and we'll make sure that you're all set up.
Yes, I'm dropping contact information for everyone right now in the chat. And thank you. There's so many people who have been in this chat sharing their stories, and we're just so appreciative of each and every one of you joining on and opening up and sharing your stories with us. So I'm putting in right now resources for you all to reach out to us so we can connect. And we've got a couple more questions in here, but I just want to make sure everyone has these resources as well. The next one, if we qualify for an EBT card, would be given to provide lunch? Would that be given to provide lunch?
Um, it would it would depend on how the state. So if we are able to get when we are able to get the congregate setting requirements changed,
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
we will be it'll be up to the USDA in the states to implement the program in terms of how they best view it should be implemented in their state. EBT cards during COVID seem like the easiest route, but EBT cards are not very popular right now with some federal lawmakers. So when we're talking to offices, we're not prescribing how it should be done. It would be up to the states to kind of figure it out. It may be lunches served at a local school and you just have to go pick it up and bring it home. Or it might be EBT cards if that's how your state wants to do it. So it's really going to be up to at a state by state level, unfortunately, of how there won't be a national standard for this, very likely. I see someone asked, once we fill out the Congress form, what's next? So that the form on our website is a letter that will go to your member of Congress's office. Um, and so we're trying to get as many letters as we can into offices so they hear from as many families as possible. Feel free to customize the letter. That is just a sample letter. Feel free to customize it with your own story. They need to hear from constituents on this issue. You are their voters. You are the reason why they are in those offices. And so they need to listen to you, and they need to hear from you. And Congress doesn't know that this is a problem unless they hear from the people at home who are complaining about it. So tell all of your classmates, your neighbors, anybody else who you think may be impacted by this issue to make sure that they reach out as well. Because the more people that contact them, the more they realize that this is actually an issue, and the more likely that they will be to take any sort of action.
Yes, be sure to share it with anyone that you know that um, is interested in it and looking to advocate and let Congress know. Um, we're
Chelsea, I was gonna. I'm sorry. I was just going to say something real quick, if you don't mind. I was going to say these lunches, we're not talking about, something just slapped and put together. I mean, these children are getting quality foods. Like they are getting a really good, wholesome lunch. All the food groups are being met. They even have options. I know at my son's school, like the options that he gets, it's one of it was a taco bowl, and the other was, a veggie wrap. So there's so many different options. We just have to make sure that we keep going, we keep talking about this, we keep saying that, understanding that this is a very important, this is not an any mini miny mode type of choice. This is something that we definitely need to have. So I just wanted to express like how wonderful these meals are and the nutritional values that these children will definitely be getting. Sorry, Chelsea, I just had to had to get that out there.
Thank you. Samoy and Kristen, thank you so much for your time and educating all of us today on
Yes.
the issues. To everyone here, thank you guys for joining. We really appreciate your time and your stories. As we put in our campaign website in the chat, lunchforeverylearner.com, you'll have a link to our letter desk to Congress right on that website. So you'll be able to share with everyone you know, so they can take action right away. And like I said earlier, and we've said many times throughout this session, please reach out to our team if you're excited and willing to share your story. Like the many that we've seen in this chat, it's just been really inspirational, and we'd love to hear more from all of you.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.